We're hanging out with some of our little lizards and other minis this week on the Nature Center YouTube channel. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Nature Center YouTube channel. I am Jason, I'm your host, formerly of Animal Planet Scaled, and based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, home of the YYC Nature and Education Center and Calgary Reptile Parties, and the upcoming Wildlife Festival. So we're really excited that in just a few short weeks we're going to be kicking off our tour in Regina, and heading to Regina, Saskatoon, Red Deer, Calgary, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Lloydminster, Fort McMurray, and we've got more to be announced. So check out wildlifefestival.ca. That's where you get all the information and tickets for the upcoming tour, which is going to feature a lot of really amazing animals, stage shows, yours truly, and we love doing the Wildlife Festival. We're really excited to once again be bringing it back to Western Canada. Now, will this be one of the animals that is going to be on display? Probably not, because he's still kind of small. But this week we are going to be meeting some of our baby animals, animals that are small right now, although some of them aren't going to stay that way. And we're starting off with the Limpopo girdled lizard, or Limpopo armadillo lizard, or Jones armadillo lizard. They have lots of different names. The Limpopo comes from the fact that they've been discovered in Limpopo National Park in Mozambique. But this is a species of armadillo lizard that is found in South and Western Africa. So these guys get their name because they have kind of like armored ridges like armadillos. It's interesting though because armadillos are South American, but the armadillo and girdled lizards are found in Africa. But you can definitely see some comparisons in the tail, you can see some comparisons in the body, and even kind of the head shape to those armored mammals. Now, these guys do well in groups, which is kind of nice. So it is recommended you keep a couple of them together. We only have one right now, but we are working on getting more. The challenge with them, in the wild they can be in groups of over 30, but you don't want to have that many by any means as a pet. But even though they are sociable, unlike a lot of other reptiles, males will fight, and this is kind of a issue you see with a lot of reptiles where males are territorial, and even more so in ones where they have groups. So you could keep several females together, you could keep several females and a male together, but two males, you're going to end up probably having them fight and potentially fighting to the death. In the wild, they can run away, they can escape, but under human care, there's not that option. So you definitely want to make sure that you have the proper genders, and especially as babies, that's really, really hard to tell. There is some dimorphism with them, but not a lot, and it's not hard and fast like it is with other animals. So it's really can be hard to tell whether they're a boy or a girl, especially when they're young. So these guys are arboreal, which means they like to climb. So you want to have lots of branches and stuff in their habitat for them to explore. They're found in arid places. You do want to have kind of like a bit of a humid area. So also they really like to dig. And what they'll do in the wild is they'll dig through sand and dirt to help them with shedding. They are an insectivore, so we feed him appropriately sized crickets. We feed him different worms like mealworms and waxworms as a treat because they're high in fat. Butterworms, small roaches would also be good for them. But the nice thing about these guys is they only grow to be about 6.5 inches. So they're not a really large lizard. They don't need a huge amount of space like a lot of other ones. So for someone wanting something that's a little bit unique, the one thing is they are typically wild caught. So, I definitely kind of try to discourage people from going for wild caught, especially if it's your first pet. But for someone who has some experience, is willing to take them on and potentially work on adding captive bred ones, like successfully breeding them, adding captive bred ones to reduce the number of wild caught, these guys could be an awesome pet. How little and cute are these? We have a lot of turtles and tortoises at the nature center, but one thing we didn't really have was an Australian species. We have African ones, we have European ones, we have North American ones, but I really wanted to add some Australian shelled friends. Now, Australia is interesting because they don't have any tortoises. They are all turtles, and these are one of them. These are pink-bellied side-neck turtles. So you can see how they get their name because the underside of their shell is pink. It can also be orange and red. It will get darker as they get older. And whereas most turtles will tuck their head in, pull their head into their shell, pink belly side necks turn their head to the side. So that is thus the name. Now, pink bellied side necks once were extremely rare, but they've, through captive breeding, have become very, very available, especially in the United States. The nice thing about them is their size. So turtles and tortoises are a lot slower growing than mammals and other animals. These guys will grow about an inch a year. They might reach up to 10 inches after 10 years. Average size is about 5 to 8 inches. So they're not big like a red-eared slider or a golden thread turtle. You can keep them in a much smaller habitat. A 75-gallon tank will work for a couple of them. They're pretty easygoing, so they will often get along with other turtles as well as fish. They are also bred for the food market. I remember being a bit traumatized many years ago. One of the first times I went to an Asian market and was shopping in the frozen food section and found frozen pink belly side neck turtles for food. That's just kind of a me thing. I don't like eating things with faces. Even like shrimp and stuff, it has to be deheaded. So, you know, seeing a whole animal, other than fish, that doesn't bother me as much, but seeing a whole animal was kind of an animal that I liked. But I have eaten turtle. I've had turtle soup, snapping turtle soup and stuff like that. So as long as it's ethically done and not impacting wild populations or causing animals to be endangered or threatened, you know, I don't have any issue eating a turtle or eating a hamburger. Isn't really that different. It's all animals and food. These guys are primarily carnivorous, so unlike a lot of other turtles that do eat a lot of plant protein, these guys don't. So they get turtle pellets. When they were smaller than this, they have grown quite a bit in the last year. They got frozen bloodworms. In the wild, they eat small mollusks, so as they get bigger, we'll do things like chop up shrimp, chop up snails, things like that. So these guys, in terms of like a mini and something that's not going to get really big, great choice for a pet turtle. So one of the challenges in trying to sort of build our collection and what we were going to be using for different animals is finding handleable North American reptiles that you can use for outreach. A lot of your North American species are really, really fast, like anoles, or really, really big, like iguanas. This little guy, though, who is still a baby, kind of filled that niche. So this is a eastern collared lizard. They're named because of the collared pattern around their neck. The boys, which this one is, have a lot brighter of colors. These yellows, the yellow specks, almost kind of like a bluish color to their scales or their skin, whereas the females are more drab and kind of like a dull brown, but still have a bit of a collar. These guys are actually the state lizard of Oklahoma, and they are called Oklahoma boomers. Why is a mystery, but that is what they've been referred to apparently since like the 1800s. They're not just found in Oklahoma, but all the way down through the south, and so the southeastern and even southwestern states, and down into Mexico. These guys have a long tail, which has got kind of curled up right now, and they are excellent climbers. They've got a lot of energy. They love to scramble over rocks, and much like the armadillo lizard, they are found in groups in the wild, but again, the boys are really, really territorial. They will protect their females, they will protect their territory, and they will fight. So even if there's no females present, having two males living together is a bad idea and not going to end well. They are somewhat omnivorous. I do give him some plants, and he definitely enjoys eating it. But they do need a lot of protein, a high protein diet as well. So mostly insects. As they get bigger, they will eat small vertebrates as well in the wild. But primarily, right now, he chases down crickets with gusto. He loves chowing down on mealworms, waxworms, any kind of bugs, and it's quite entertaining and adorable to watch him eat. So these guys will go about 8 to 15 inches. The 15-inch one will be a really big one. So again, a nice sized lizard that's not going to get huge, but is super cute as a little baby. Look at that little guy. My heart is melted when I saw him, and that is why he came to live with us. So this guy and armadillo lizard both came to us in August. They have grown significantly even since we got them. We got them from Tails and Scales out in Toronto when we were all at the Western Canadian Reptile Expo in Red Deer. And yeah, Nelson is dangerous because he gives a lot of temptation. And in this case, it was temptation I had to kind of fall into. So this is probably the latest addition to our programs. It's currently very sassy. This is a blue-eyed Leucistic Texas rat snake, which came to us from Canadian Mouse Man in Medicine Hat. And as you can see, being a baby, that's one of the things about getting baby snakes is they can be really defensive. He was not this way when we first got him, but as he's kind of matured, there's a bit of a everything's going to eat me mentality. It's not going to hurt to get bit, but I still don't like getting bit. Hey. He also made a mess in his container, because of course he did. Will you come out and play? So Leucistic Texas rat snakes are just beautiful, beautiful snakes. We have one that is probably close to 20 years old, definitely showing his age. His name is Steve Austin because they're white, so kind of like they're stone cold, and Texas rat snake. And a lot of people will say, oh, it's a Texas rattlesnake, even though it clearly says rat snake. So this is Steve Austin II. They're not related. He didn't hatch from. He's not a dad. But I love wrestling and Steve Austin. So I think this is one that is a name and a tradition that I want to keep because it just, and even right now he's being very very Steve Austin-like. They will also wiggle their tail, and so that is kind of like a rattlesnake, so that's a way of protecting themselves and trying to scare off predators like me, who's not going to eat you, but, you know, everything that's bigger is scary. He is not taking his eyes off of me. I gotta clean your container out too there, buddy. Aha! Success! And no biting. Now, the cool thing about him being leucistic, normally these guys are yellow and brown. He's dripping urine all over me. This is the glamour of doing reptile YouTube and working with animals. And there's a tail wiggle, which you can't see. So they're almost see-through at this point as babies. As they get bigger, it'll be like the scales will be more solid, but you can see kind of like where the internal organs are up near the front, where their bowel is. So it's pretty, come here, buddy. Pretty crazy, like that. This is almost not see-through, but sort of semi-transparent. So we will definitely have more of Steve and these animals coming up on the channel as they grow. So if you want to see how they're continuing to grow and change and mature, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. And you're going to want to hit the bell to be notified of when new episodes air. They're every Tuesday. If you want to see them before anyone else does, you can join us on Patreon. Our patrons get to see, you can see the tail rattling a bit. Our patrons get to see our videos on Saturday, so a couple of days beforehand. As well, our patrons were the first ones to meet Steve. They were the first ones to meet the pink belly side necks and see them. We have all sorts of educational content on there, 2 years worth of archives. And it all starts just $3 a month, and 100% of the proceeds from our Patreon go towards the food and caring of our animals. So you get to have some cool content and learning, and we get to feed our snakes like this dude here. All of our info is down below. If you're coming to Calgary, come and meet Steve and some of our other animals at the YYC Nature and Education Center. Join us for our upcoming tour, and just stay tuned. Follow us on social media for all the updates of what we're up to and doing. And so on behalf of Steve Austin Jr., the Texas rat snake, we'll see you next time.